You want to set up your own home server just like this to where you can have everything you want, whether you can run your movies locally, you can host your own password manager, you can even have an ad blocker set up to block everything from your router and modem using a DNS and all that. I'm going to show you in this video how to set this up so you can host whatever you want on your home network, whether you want to host your own like file storage for backups, whether you want to set up Pi-hole to block all ads when you browse the web. If you want to host your own password manager, you can set that up and all that, and how to connect to it from anywhere in the world once you get this all set up. So yeah, I'm going to show you in this video how to set this all up, so let's get on to the video. Okay, so what are we going to need to set up, to set this up? So in this video, I'm going to have my GitHub page linked. You should come to a page just like this, scroll on down. Once this video is created, I will put a link of the video right here, so that way you'll be able to copy this link or save this link if you're confused. So what we're going to need, as you can see right here on the GitHub page that I made, it's going to tell you need a second PC, which you're going to want to have a second PC, which is either an old PC or a new PC you bought just for your hosting. So whatever kind of PC you have as your secondary, you can set this up to host all your stuff. So this is the server you're going to use for your home server setup. You need to have an Ethernet, and you need to plug it in either through your router, your modem, or your switch. If you don't know what a switch is an Ethernet switch, which for some people you may only have one Ethernet port on your modem or router, and you can go ahead and buy yourself a switch to add multiple, so that way you can plug in a lot more Ethernet switches and Ethernet ports. So yeah, that's how you set all that up. You're gonna need a flash drive with at least 4 gigs for this to work. I would recommend an 8 gig or more, just to make sure you have plenty of space to set this all up and get everything up and going. So I would recommend an 8. 4 is the absolute minimal I would say go with. But 8 is what I would recommend, okay? We're gonna need to download the Ubuntu server, because the Ubuntu server we're gonna run. So if you don't know how to do that, we're simply just gonna come here, and we're gonna come up here and go to their website. So here's the website of Ubuntu Server. We're gonna download the image, which is right here. Click this green download button, and it's gonna download the latest image. Now, as you can see, the latest image is only 2 gigs, but when you have to put that onto a flash drive to make it bootable, you might need a little bit extra. That's why I say the minimal I would recommend is 4 gigs. But I would recommend 8. So that's why. So you're going to download this image, wait for it to get done downloading, and that's all. So once you get that done, you're going to come back over here, and we need to make it a bootable drive. Now, if you don't know how to make it a bootable drive, I'd recommend using this tool. It's a very friendly tool, so let's go over here to this website. Just so. Now, over here is where you can download it all. So the way it works is you're going to download the application. It's going to have 3 options. You're going to download it, the image, and select the image. So when you select the image, that's the image you're going to use to put on the USB. You're going to select the drive, which makes sure it is the USB you want to install it to. And then you're going to click flash. It's that simple. And then just wait for it to get done, and then unplug it. And then down here is the download links in case you want to download it for Windows, Mac, Linux, or whatever. You download it right down here and do that. So that's how you make it a bootable drive. It's very simple and very self-explanatory. So yeah, you just do that, and that's all you gotta do. Now, I would say make sure that when you select the flash drive, that flash drive is clean, it has nothing on it, because it will wipe that drive. It will completely wipe that drive with all of its data. So if it's a USB that you have any data on, you need to make sure it has nothing on it, otherwise it will be wiped. Okay? So once you do that, that's all you gotta do. Now you simply just plug it in right here, as you see. You simply just plug it in and then follow the rest of the steps. You may have to make it a, you may have to select it in the boot menu to boot to that USB. You may have to change your boot order. I would recommend looking up your motherboard or your BIOS of whatever manufacturer it is to figure out how to set this up. Some will automatically detect it, some won't. So figure that out. When you boot the PC up, it should tell you press a key. And in this case, I tell you down here, it's escape F2, F10, F12. is normally the keys it wants you to press. So you either spam press it or hold the button down. Some manufacturers do it differently. Holding it down normally works, but you may have to spam click it. So that's all you gotta do. And then once you get to the menu, you can follow the rest of this tutorial. And that's all you gotta do. So if you want to know how to install everything, I have this text guide right here to help you install everything, all the commands you need to copy in order to set this all up, everything here you need to set up, and a simple guide. So that's all you gotta do. So yeah, once you set this all up, come back to this video and follow the rest of it. So let's get on to the rest of the video. Okay, so once you get to a screen that looks pretty similar to this, you're gonna go ahead and just click enter, and it should take you on in. So let's go ahead and get on in here. Now I'm doing this on a virtual machine because it would just be easier to show how to set up the whole process using the virtual machine. But you can do this on a bare bones machine if you want, which is probably what I would recommend you do. But you can do it however. So as you can see, it's fully setting it up. Now this might take a little bit. Okay, so now that we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and just do English. I click enter, and of course you use your arrow keys to go up and down, and click enter to select. So I'm going to click enter. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like this. Go ahead. Now right here, this is a important thing to take note of, is right here where it says name. You can see it says ENS18. That's our network interface that it's going to be using. And there's also the IP address. We need to take note of both of those because they will come into play later. For now, we're just going to go ahead and click done. I'm just going to go ahead and skip this, let this get done checking, which might take a little bit. Normally it doesn't take that long, so go ahead and just let this get done doing its thing. Now it's done. Go ahead and click next. Now if you have multiple hard drives like I do set up, you're going to be able to select your hard drive here. So for me, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to uncheck set up a LVM group because I don't want those sends. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. You should be able to see here how everything is set up. If you want to set up a raid group and all that kind of stuff, you can set up that all here. A lot of different choices here for you to do, but I'm just going to go ahead and say done. Now if you have not backed up your hard drive and got all the data off the hard drive that you have on there, it will wipe the drive. So this is the last moment before you lose all the data on that drive. So if you're not 100% sure you backed everything up, you need to go check right now, because this is the last point, okay? If you're 100% sure that you have everything off the drive that you want and everything's good, click go down and click continue. Now we need to set up the name. So for the name, I'm just going to set up snowmods. For the PC name, I'm going to set up snowpc. I'm going to set up snowmods for this too. So let me just go ahead and set that up. For the password, I would recommend you set up a pretty strong password. In this case, I'm going to set up a basic one because I'm going to wipe this PC afterwards. Yeah, set up a pretty strong one. And then once you get your name, username, all that set up, go ahead and click done. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it like this. I don't want pro. I'm just going to go ahead and go next. We do want to set up Open SSH. That is very important. So go ahead and check that. You could import a SSH code if you want. I just recommend letting it set one up for you though. So go ahead and just go down here and click done. You could download any packages that you see here. In case you want to use some of these packages, you don't have to install them later. You could install them right here, right now. But what we're going to do is we're just going to install them later. So I'm going to go ahead and click done. And now it's setting up the PC, wiping that drive, doing all the formatting, setting the drive up, and doing all that stuff it needs to do. So I will catch you back when this gets done. Okay, so once you get to this screen right here, you should see right down here, it says reboot. You should see something pretty similar. If it says cancel, update, and all that, just let it finish. Wait till it says reboot now, and you should be good to go. So let's go ahead and just reboot. So let me click this and I'll be back with you when it reboots. Okay, one thing I should mention real quick is when you click reboot, you should unplug the USB from your PC to make sure it boots from your hard drive, not the USB. And then once that's done, you should see a screen something similar to this, assuming you did that all right and it didn't boot back to the USB. It should come up with a screen saying login. So let's just go ahead and log in. And now we're in. So this is literally how you set up the Ubuntu server. So we're actually done with the main machine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch our keyboard and mouse back to our main PC that we're gonna use to control the whole server. And yeah, so we're actually completely done with this. So let's switch over and we're gonna SSH into our server. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that we are over here on our main PC, I'm going to have a batch file linked in the description on my GitHub page. So if you go to my GitHub page, there's going to be a batch file. You could make this yourself just by making a text file, and then when you go to save it, instead of saving it as a TXT file, you just save it as a bat file. You could do that too, however you want to do it. Just, I recommend setting it up like this. All this stuff up here just makes it look pretty. You don't actually need all of this up here, but I would recommend it just to make it look a little bit better. And then this right here is the main thing you actually need, is where it's SSH, and you can just do this in your control panel if you prefer to just do it that way. I just like using a batch file because that way it's as simple as just clicking one thing, and then it just opens it up automatically for you once you do it the first time. So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to replace the username with the username that we created. So in our case, that would be snowmods. And now we just need the IP address. So we already know what the IP address is. It is 1.2.168.1.26. In our case, in my case right now. So in your case, it may be different. If you don't know how to check what your IP address is, let me switch back over real quick and I will show you how to check what your IP address is. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so now that we're back over here real quick, let's just go ahead and make sure we know what our IP address is. If you don't, you simply just type in IP space A and it should bring it up. So right here, we actually did type it in wrong. It is actually 24, not 26. So this is a reason why you may want to make sure you know what it is. Because you might get it wrong, just like I just did. So there you go. Now you get your IP address. That's the information you need. So let's go back over and let's get the IP address set up. So now that we're back over here, we're simply going to change this to what our IP address is. And we're going to click save, or control S to save it, however you want to do it. And now let's go ahead and open that up. Okay, so now that we have SSH into our server, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just accept the fingerprint. So I will just go ahead and type yes if that is your server. What this does is just allow you to connect to the server and it authenticates it. So make sure you do trust the server you're connecting to in order to do this. And so go ahead and just say yes if you trust it. Go ahead and type in your password. And now we're in. It's that simple. And now we get all the information that we get on the other screen. And now we're going to set up with the next set of stuff we got to do. So for this scenario, I'm going to go ahead and just clear the screen, which will take everything out of the terminal and just clear it real quick. So let's do that. Okay, so now that we've done that, over on my GitHub page, you will be able to find all the commands we're about to enter. So if you get confused or don't understand, go over there, and I kind of explain in my text format a little bit. But for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory. So let's just hop over there to my GitHub and let me show you what it looks like. Okay, so once you get over here on my GitHub page, it should look something similar like this. So when I upload this video, I will change the description right here to add the video link right here. So it will be able to easily find this YouTube video in case you lose it or something. It will be right there. But here's all the scripts and everything here. So as I said earlier, here's the batch file. You can just simply come here, open it, and you can either copy it and download it by coming over here and click download, or you could just copy this and do it yourself. However you would like to do that. Now back over here, this is all the information. So everything you're going to need to set it up. So as you can see, it says everything here. It's got all the stuff you need. So down here where it says set up Ubuntu server, gonna scroll down here, and down here's all the stuff we need in order to set it up. So now that we are open SSH, we're going to enter all of these commands. So if you don't want to have to type them in and you just want to copy and paste, here are all the commands. So let's go ahead and set this up. So now we're going to switch back over to SSH. Okay, so now that you're over here, the first command we're typing in is sudo app.get. So we got to do like that. And then we're going to do -y, which just when you do -y, that just makes it so it auto agrees to everything. Because it will ask you, do you want to agree to download this? We're just going to do -y because we agree. That will auto agree for us. We're going to do update, and this would just go ahead and check for update. We need to enter our password. So now we're going to grab all of the updates. Okay, so now that Ubuntu's grabbed all of its updates it needs, we're going to go ahead and type in sudo get, just like this, -y once again. We're going to go ahead and just type upgrade, just like so. Click enter. And this is going to go ahead and update all of the packages on the server to get everything up to date. And this might take a few minutes depending on your internet speed, your hard drive speed, and stuff like that. So just give this a little bit to get done, and we'll be back with you. Okay, so once it's done, you should see a screen similar to this right here. It should let you know that everything's up to date. Now mine's just letting me know that I'm on VM stuff, so don't mind that. But for the most part, it should look something pretty similar. It just downloads all of its packages, gets everything up to date, and you should be good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and just clear this. Okay, so you can easily see. Now this next command we're going to enter is not necessary, although I would recommend you do it. It will download a package about, I think it's like 140 something megabytes. So, but it downloads two helpful tools called NeoFetch and HTOP. So I'm going to go ahead and just click install. So what NeoFetch is just an easy way to check what update you're on of your server. It gives you your CPU, RAM, stuff like that information pretty easily. And then HTOP, if you're used to Windows, you should be familiar with Task Manager. And HTOP is pretty much a task manager, just a little bit more advanced. So it might be a little hard to learn, but that's pretty much what it is. So let's just go ahead and get both these installed, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so once it's installed, you should see something pretty similar. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and just clear. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and just simply type in NeoFetch, just like so. We could paste it in here, so let me just do that to show you. Just like so. If you don't know how to paste something inside of CMD, you simply just right-click with wherever you have copied, and it should paste it in here. And if you want to copy something, you simply just left-click, drag it like that, and then right-click, and that would do the same. So now I'm just going to go ahead and type NeoFetch in, and now you can see it gives us all the information of our system that we might need, like how many packages we have installed, what update we're on, our resolution, our CPU, our GPU, our OS update, and all that. So we now have all that information. So I'm going to go ahead and just clear this. Okay, now I'm going to type HTOP to see if this is installed. And now you can see HTOP is also installed. So this is, as I said, it's pretty much a task manager, but for Linux. So you can see here all the files that are operating, how much memory they're using, how much CPU they're using, how long the system's been up, what's been up for how long, and if you use your mouse, you can click over here on this tab, and you can see all this information as well. So this just gives you a pretty general knowledge of your system, and you can do a bunch more features down here at the bottom, as you can see with the F keys. But for this scenario, we're just going to go ahead and back out, because we don't need to mess with any of this right now. But if you do, this is how you would mess with some of this stuff. There is other ways to do it, but this is just a pretty simple way, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and hit F10 to back out, and we're going to go ahead and just clear. So now that we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and set up a static IP address. If you don't know what a static IP address is, you know how we typed in the IP address earlier? We're going to make it static, which means it won't change on our network, which is really good to make sure you never have an issue in the future where you can't log into it when your PC reboots. So the way we're going to do that is by just simply coming here and we're going to go ls/etc, and we're going to type in net plan, just like so, and we're going to do / and click enter. And now, if NetPlan is set up correctly, you will hopefully see a thing like this. If you don't see this, you might have NetPlan not set up. NetPlan should install automatically, and everything should get set up correctly. If not, you may have to look into how to set that up, but for most people, it should automatically set that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply come here and we're going to type this command in. I'm going to go ahead and just paste it in to be easier, but you want to type this exact command in, which is just simply sudo in. We're going to use this, which is pretty much a text editor, and we're going to go ahead and just go to that same file, and we're going to create a file called this. So we're going to go ahead and just click that. Okay, so now that we're in here, we need to type in this command or paste the command. I'm going to paste it in, just like so. So what we need to do here is we need to enter in our Ethernet web interface. So this is our interface right here. We're pretty much telling the system to never get an IP from this your router or modem, so that way it never like automatically changes it. And we're gonna set the IP address. So let's go ahead and set this up. So in my case, I think I'm gonna set it up to 1 point. Let's go 40. I'm pretty sure 40 on my network is open, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Set up your gateway, whatever your gateway might be. So I'm gonna go ahead and set mine up like that. So the way you're going to save this is by doing Control O, which brings up this menu. Then just click Enter. And now we're going to click Control X. Now we're not done setting that back up. So what we're going to do is we're going to type IP space A, and we're going to check our interface. So what we're looking for is this right here. This right here. The alternative name. So in the alternative name, you can see the interface is called that. So now that we got our interface name, we're going to go back to that file. So let's just use our arrow keys to tab back up. We're going to click Enter once again, and we're going to change our interface. So right now, our interface is actually pretty much already set up. Yours will be different depending on certain things, but just go ahead and enter that back in, and we're going to save it once again. The way we save it is Control O, click Enter, Control X. Now we're good. Let's go ahead and just clear. And now our static IP address should be set up. Now, if you don't like the welcome message you get when you SSH into your server, you can disable that as well. Personally, I don't like it because it does give you a decent amount of information, but it also gives you a lot of not important information. So I'm actually going to disable it. That's up to you though. So if you don't want to disable it, go ahead and skip forward. If you do want to disable it, follow the rest of this guide. So the first command we're going to do is we're going to come here and paste this in, which is going to be one of the files we need to change or check to see if we need to change to make sure we don't have to edit it. So click that. We're going to scroll on down here and we're looking for this right here. If you see this command right here, we need to make sure it is set to no. If this is set to yes, set it to no and then save it. So it's already set, so we don't have to save it. We'll just come back out. Now the next thing we need to do is use a different text editor to edit this file, which is VIM, and we're going to go to this exact location, click Enter. We're going to use our arrow keys to scroll back down, just like so. Once we find the two files we're looking for, which is these two, we're going to go ahead and disable them. So we're going to edit the file by clicking I, which enters this mode, which is the edit mode. We're going to hash it out, so hash space. Okay, so once you're done editing the file, click escape, and now we're back to the view mode. And now we're going to do the two dots, just like so, and we're going to do WQ. W stands for save, Q stands for quit. So we're going to go ahead and just do that, and we're good. So now that we've disabled that, now we shouldn't get the welcome message at all. Now we just need to restart the SSH. So we're going to restart the SSH, yeah, just like that. And that should be good to go. So now you shouldn't get that message again. Now the next thing we're going to do is, I'm just going to go ahead and clear. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to clear port 53. Now you don't have to clear port 53 unless you intend on installing something like Pi-hole or another DNS option. If you want to set up a DNS option like Pi-hole, you need to clear port 53. because that is what Pi-hole runs on. So we're going to go ahead and clear that. I have a script here which just easily lets you do it. So just go and copy the command on my GitHub, and it should look something similar to this. And I don't recommend just running any script on your PC if you don't know what it does. So I would even recommend you to open my script and verify it for yourself to make sure there's nothing bad in it. Or you could just trust me, either way. But I would recommend you always check people's scripts to make sure there's nothing bad it's gonna do. So in this scenario, we're just gonna click agree. We're just gonna download all the stuff we need, make sure everything is up to date, and it's gonna go ahead and clear that port. So while it goes ahead and clears that port, we're gonna be right back. Now, as you can see right here, it should say this, and we're just going to go ahead and do Y for yes. We're just going to disable those. It's asking us for a DNS we would like to use. We're going to use the Cloudflare DNS, which is what I have it set up as default. Go ahead and do that, and we're good. So now we have that whole set up. Now port 53 is now clear. That's as simple. Now we're going to go ahead and install Casaos. So let's get into that. So for Casaos, I recommend you go ahead and go to their website and grab the command. I have the command right here. It may change in the future. I do have it on my GitHub, but it may change in the future. So please go make sure on their website that is the command. And now we're just going to go ahead and click enter, which should start downloading Casaos. And now we just kind of sit back and wait while Casaos installs. So I will be right back with you when Casaos is done. Okay, so now that we're in here, Casaos is now done installing. So as you can see, it's done right here. This is all the stuff being done. So we have our IP address to the server. So now he's going to open our browser and go to this IP address. Now, if you don't restart your PC, it will still use the old IP address because you have to restart your PC in order to make sure it resets the IP address and all that. There is a command to do it, but I find the command to be unreliable, so I choose to restart my PC. So I'm actually going to restart my PC before going to this link. Let me do that real quick. Okay, so once we restart the computer, we should end up with a new thing. So you do need to change your IP address in your batch file to make sure you can open it again. And it will ask you to save a fingerprint for the IP address. So let's just go ahead and say yes once again. Sign in with our password. And now we're in. So let's go ahead and just clear. And yeah, we're back in here. So now we can go back to our website. Now we know it's back up and everything's going good. Let's go to the website. Let me switch over there and I'll be back with you. Okay, so once we go to that URL, it should end up with a thing like this. I'm going to go ahead and just click go. It should bring up a screen like this. Let's go ahead and just create our account, which will be snowmods. Set up a password. I do recommend you set up a pretty strong password for this. Let's go ahead and set that up. Just like so. Click create. Now it's going to ask us this right here. I'm going to go ahead and just click cancel. Now, I'm going to come up here to options. Now you need to change your stuff up here if you want. I'm going to remove recommended. I'm going to make sure that Casaos is up to date, which it is, because we just downloaded it. You could change all of this stuff if you want. I'm going to remove the search bar. And I'm also going to change the wallpaper to a different one. You could add a custom one. I'm just going to add the dark theme for now. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove this because it found a second drive that I have installed. So, we're actually fully good to go now. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this too. If you come in here and you have a second drive connected like I do, you can also create a new drive. Select the drive, name it whatever you want, and then click format and create, and it will do that. And you can also merge the drive. So you know what, I'm actually going to do that for this tutorial, so let me just go ahead and click format and create. This should just take a few seconds, depending on your drive size and stuff, it might take a little bit longer, but just give it a few seconds and it should be done, just like that. And now we have our second drive set up. Now we can also just merge the drives. I don't know if I would 100% recommend you do that. It will make it a bigger drive, but from my experience, I've tried this and I did have some bugs with it. So that is up to you whether you want to try it or not. But yeah, as simple as you do. You can reformat it again, and you can also remove the drive. But now we actually have 2 drives fully set up, ready to go. So that's how you set that up. And now we're going to go ahead and start our app install. But before we do that, there's one more thing I want to change. Up here in the settings, we're going to come here. We're going to change our web UI port. Now by default, it is set to 80. Now, 80 is a decent port for it to be set at, but there is issues. Some apps we're going to download in the future are going to use port 80, and we have to remove it from port 80 so we don't have any conflicting issues. So for this tutorial, you could set up whatever port you want to use. Just try to make it a port that's not going to be used by another app. A good one I would recommend would be 7500. It's a pretty decent one to set up for. But there's also a whole bunch of other ones. Now, if you save one that works, it should end up like this. Now it's going to ask you to sign back in. So just go ahead and sign right back in. Like so. And now we're back in here. Now, what if you set up a port that doesn't work? So let me set up a port that won't work. This port is actually blocked. So I know I can't use this port. Now if I click save, it's just going to forever load like this, and it's never going to back me out because this port doesn't work. Now that this port don't work, we're completely locked out of the website interface. Now, we can't change it. Now, what do you do in this situation? Well, let me go back over to my SSH, and let me show you how you fix this. Okay, so now we're back over here on the SSH. I have another command that will help you fix this issue if you run into it, and it's simply, you just need to grab the command. So let me grab it. Now come back to your SSH. Just go ahead and paste this in, just like so. Once again, don't trust any scripts. Check it, verify it for yourself. Just go ahead and click enter. Type in our password. And that asks us what is the port we want to use for this. So once again, I'm going to set it up to the same port, 7500. Click enter. And it should say successfully created the new port change. So now if we go back to the website, we should see that port is open once again. And we should be able to access our website. So let's go back and check. Okay, so I still have the page open right now, and it's still trying to do that. But if we just go ahead and refresh the page, we're right back in. You may have to relog back in. It depends on what you had set up, but you probably will have to log back in, just so you know. But that's as easy as it is. Now, if you ever get confused on how you log into your thing, you simply do your IP address, and then you do 2 dots, just like that, and then you type in the port. So in our case, it's port, 7500. And it's that easy. So that's how you go to change your port, set all that up, just in case you have any issues, that's how you do it. Now, we're going to install our apps. So let me get on to installing our apps. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and open the App Store. We're going to scroll on down and look for apps that we want to install. In my case, I'm going to install some of the more basic apps just to get a good setup of apps for you to set up. That should give you enough tools to set up any app you want. So, first app we're going to install is going to be Portainer. So let's go ahead and just install Portainer. Now, if you want to let this finish, you're still watching the screen, you can click continue in the background and it will still download it. You just won't be able to see it. So it's done in download. It's now installing it, and it should be setting it all up. Now, the App Store uses a Docker container files. That's how it downloads everything. It's in Docker. But honestly, I don't really prefer this interface. I'm more familiar with Portainer, and I would probably recommend most people to use Portainer. So now that Portainer is installed, we can come here to tips. Now, some apps will have tips like the email password or the password or whatever else, or even some helpful information. Portainer doesn't have that. And if you come into settings, you can actually see the container, how it's actually set up. So you can see the container was downloaded from there. It's got the name, it's got the version, it's got the Docker image, it's got all the ports here, it's got the images where everything, all the files are being saved to, and all that. You can set the memory limit, you can set if it's privileged or unprivileged, you can set everything up here. Now, for most people, I'm going to say probably just leave this default. It probably won't hurt anything. You may want to change the ports if you're worried about security, but I'll leave that up to you if you want to do that. But I'll just leave it like this. Now, the one thing we want to take note of is this right here, the web UI. As you can see, it's going to actually use HTTP and not S. Now, we could switch it to S, but it won't work because the way it's set up. And then it's going to be our IP address, and then it's going to be the port. It's going to be 900, and then it's going to be /. Let's go ahead and just open Portainer. Now, if you take too long to open Portainer, it will kind of bug out in a sense. Well, it will tell you you have to restart it. So how do we do that in case we take too long? We come up to these 3 dots, we click it, and we come down here and click this right here. This will restart it. This will turn it off. So we just click restart, and then it should be fine. Give it a few seconds and it'll come back up. But we already opened it. So let's go ahead and create our account. So in this case, I'm just going to set up one called snowmods. And I'm simply just going to set up a password that will work, which will be this right here. So the password will be set up just like so. Okay, so once we set up our account and stuff, we could say we want to allow it to correct data, or we want to do it anonymously. Or we could restart from a previous one. So if we click here, if we have one already set up, we could just back up from that. Now I don't have one I'm going to back up from, so I'm just going to say create. And now it should say create. Now, I actually did go AFK there for a minute, so it actually took me too long to make an account and all that, so I actually need to restart it. So this is the screen you will see if it takes you too long to set up stuff. So let me go ahead and just restart. Just like so. And now it should be back up. So now if we come and refresh the page, we need to set up the account once again. So just simply set it up. Just like so. Create an account. And now if you set it up and you don't take too long, you should see a screen like this. We're simply going to do get started. We should see a thing like this. We're going to go ahead and just click this, and we're going to click stacks. And now, if we want to add one, we can see all of this. You simply click here to add, and then you can either do it however. Now, in this scenario, we're going to come back to this later and add a dashboard once we get everything else set up. So yeah, let's go ahead and go back to Casaos and set everything else up. So that's how you install all your Docker containers and how you get Docker Compose set up and Portainer all set up in one. So that's really easy, and that's a friendly GUI that should help you set everything up easier for most people. So let's just go ahead and go over here, go back to apps, and let's go and download another app. So the app we're going to install next, we're going to set up, is actually the Proxy Manager. Now, before we install Proxy Manager, it does tell us we need to make sure that Casaos is not set on port 80, because that will conflict with it. This is why we need to change it from port 80. So if everything is set up, we should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this email, which is just admin@example, and I'm going to click next. Now let's go ahead and let this install, and while this is also installed, we're going to come down here. And when we come to VaultWarden, which is this right here, it's a password manager. We need to set up Proxy Manager in order to use this. So this is a perfect example on how to set everything up. So I'm just going to click install. And while those two are installed, I'm going to come down here and also download WireGuard. Go ahead and click next. And I'm also going to come down here and download Uptime. So now that all this is installing, you can come back in here, download any apps you want. Like here's a free Minecraft server hosting thing you can use. You can download Cloudflare stuff. You can set up a lot of different things. Two-factor authentication software. You can set up AdGuard, all that. I'm also going to come down here and install Pi-hole. This is going to be our ad blocking service and our DNS. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to click install. And now I'm just going to wait for all these apps to install, and once they all install, I will be right back with you. But this is just how you set them all up. So it's as easy as just download, and then it should be good. So when they all install, I'll be right back with you. Also, while those apps install, here's one more helpful thing I can show you, is if you come back over here and click Files, it will open up the File Manager for Casaos, which is a pretty easy way to go through your files and see what's going on in here. So yeah. Now, let's say we have something we want to put on this, and we don't want to have to come up here and click Upload Files or Upload Folders. We can also just simply shell files between our PC and this. So how do you do that? If you come up here to like these three little dots and click shell right here. Okay, so it should create a file thing just like this. And once you see this set up, you should be able to log into your file from your network. So all you do in order to do this is simply take this, if you're on Windows, copy it, this all, and then go into your file explorer, and up in the top where it says the location where you're at, you simply just paste this in there and then click enter, and it should bring you to the folder. You can simply easily transfer files back and forth, and that's just the easy way to do it. If you're on Mac or /Linux, you want to use this right here. How you also log into it, so just do that, and yeah, that's as easy as it is. Now, if you don't want to share that file anymore, you could just click the three dots and click Stop Showing, and then that file will no longer be shared. Now you can no longer access that through your internet. And it's really easy to set that all up. And then also, if you want to set up other methods, so if you have a new storage device like we do, we can come here and set it up. If you want to add, your Google Drive, your Dropbox, your OneDrive, or if you have another network drive on your network, like a NAS or something, you can come here and then set up your NAS. So just go ahead and type in all that, and then that should be good. If you want to file, drag and drop files, you can do this, and that will make it easy for you to do so. So yeah, that's how you set all that up. And yeah, you can also come down to shell and do this, but we're not going to do that right now. So yeah, that's as easy as you do that. And also, if you download any files in Casaos, you might be wondering, where does my files go? They go into this app data. So all the apps you download through the App Store will be in here most of the time. You might have a few places that don't install everything here, but for the most part, they all should be in here. And now you can see all that. So let's go back out here, and all our apps are now done installing. So let's go ahead and set all these up. So let's go ahead and set up the easiest one real quick, which is going to be WireGuard. Now for WireGuard, we're going to come into settings, and you can see all this stuff. Now, we do need to change the WG host, and we also need to change the port. Now, you don't have to change the port, but for security reasons, I would probably recommend you do change the port. Now, you don't have to, but I would just recommend it. And also, I highly recommend you change the password. Everything else you can leave the same. So we're just going to set this up real quick. So I'm just going to type in our IP address, just like so. And I'm going to click save, and that should do it. Make sure everything else is set up how you like it or want it. And I'm going to click save. Now this is going to go ahead and rebuild the app, kind of. It's going to go do some reconfiguring, reinstall, set everything back up, just with our new config. So while I wait for this to install and set everything back up, I'll be right back with you. Okay, so now that it's done setting that all up, let's go ahead and open WireGuard. It's asking us for the password, which we know was Casaos, or the one we set up. I would recommend you set up a custom one, but we know it's Casaos by default, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new client. I'm simply just going to type in the username we want to set up for the client, so in this case, snowmods. Let's do create. And that's as easy as it is. Now all we're going to do is simply click this QR code, and then on our phone or our PC or whatever you set up WireGuard with, you just click this QR code. It's going to give you one, and you just simply scan the QR code and then go and use it. So it's that easy. And yeah. Now in my case, I'm not going to use WireGuard. But that is how easy it is to set up WireGuard. The reason you would set up WireGuard is so you can log into your machine or your server from anywhere in the world, as long as you have WireGuard set up correctly and you have your internet set up. Now, in order to make WireGuard accessible by your thing, you do need to set up port forwarding on your router or modem. So If you don't know how to set up port forwarding on your modem or router, I recommend looking up whatever router or modem that you have, and then figuring out how to port forward on that, because every router and modem is a little bit different. So I would check to see how you can do that, and then you simply just port forward. Now, you might be wondering, what port do I port forward? That is going to be whatever port you have set up right here. It's the port you need to port forward. So in this case, it would be 51820 is the port we need to set up for our port forwarding. And then, yeah, we just need to set that up as a TCP and a UDP. Now, both of these are do get used for this. You could set up both of these as well, and that would work. But yeah, that's how you set it up. And yeah, it's that easy. So now let's go ahead and set up the next thing. We're going to go ahead and set up Proxy Manager. Now, for Proxy Manager, it is going to be a little bit different. So if we come in here, we can see all this stuff is set up. We don't have to add anything here. All this is fine. Unless we want to change the ports. But everything here is fine. Go into Tips. You can see it says it's a technical app. It has all this. And then down here, it has the username and password to log in. So once again, we're just going to copy this. We're going to open the app, just like so. And we're just going to paste it in here. Make sure there ain't no spaces, just like so. And now the password has changed me, but just to double check, we're going to come back here. We're going to scroll down, and we're just going to copy this password. So now we'll come back over here. We're going to paste it. Now it's going to ask us to create a user forename, and we're going to set up the nickname. So let me just do that. And it's going to ask us for our email. Now, I recommend you set up your actual email. In this scenario, you could theoretically set up any email you want. That ain't but your email. But I recommend setting up your email. So for this, I'm just going to set up an email called this. This is not my email, so please do not message this person. But this is just going to be what I set up for this example. Go ahead and enter in your password that is currently being used, and then make the new password. Which the new password will be this right here. And go ahead and click save. Now apparently I didn't spell it right, so let me double check my spelling. Okay, so now I got it all right. It saves real quick, and there we go. Now we should have our username here. So it's the username, when it was created, our email, and our role. We can come in here and edit all our details, just like that. We can come in here, set up permissions, if we want to set up different accounts for different permissions, and all that. And we can come in here and also set up a new password. So that's how you set this up. And now we actually need to do some more stuff. So if you come over here to SSL certificate, we need to set one of these up. Now, how do we set one of these up? Now, you could either buy a domain and then set it up through Cloudflare, or just set it up however you would choose. But in our case, we want to set one up for free. We don't want to have to pay for our domain. So how do we set one up for free? Well, so we're going to use another website called DuckDNS. So let's go ahead and switch to DuckDNS. Okay, so now we're on duckdns.org. You shouldn't have to log in. There's going to be a few options up here to log in with. You can either log in with your Google email, you can log in with your GitHub account or whatever. And then once you log in, you should be able to see this right here. So I've created my account 4 days ago. Your account should be saying new and all that. Here's going to be a token. Now this is not my actual token, but your token should look pretty similar. So just go ahead and copy this token, save it in a text file, or just save it for later because you're going to need this. We're going to come down here to where it says the subdomain, and we're just going to type in our subdomain. Now I already made one, but in this case I'm just going to show you. You just simply do that, and you're going to click add, and then when you click add, it should tell you if it's if that domain is already taken, and if it's not, it should go ahead and make it. Now once you get it made, you're going to come down here, and in your domain you should see it right here, and then your current IP address should be your public IP address. So we actually want to change the public IP address to the server IP address. So in our case, that was 192.168.40, and we're going to click update. Now, once you do all of this, it sometimes will take a while for it to update. So if it takes a while, it may take up to 20 minutes to an hour to refresh the DNS. In that case, just be patient, but let's hope it's already set up. So let's go back over here to Proxy Manager, and let's go ahead and set that up. So we're going to click this. Now we're going to enter in our domain. So we're going to enter in the domain we created, which in my case was this. Just simply type it in, click enter. And now once you get that set up, we're going to make one more domain. We're going to do star dot our domain name, and then .dns.org, just like so. And now we should have these two domains set up. You could set up even more if you wanted, but I'm just going to set these two up. Now, how do we set the rest of this up? We need to come down here to, we agree. We're going to agree. We're also going to come right here where it says use a DNS challenge, and we're going to accept that. And now it's going to see this option right here. It's going to bring up a bunch of different options when you click it. So when you click it, just choose the option. In my case, it's going to be DuckDNS. Just click it. Because the way I'm recording this, it ain't going to show the drop-down menu, but just know it's going to be a drop-down menu. It's going to have a bunch of choices. Look for DuckDNS. Now, right here where you see DNS.DuckDNS_token equals, where it says equals, enter your token. So remove all this and then paste in your token. So let me go ahead and get my token, and I will paste it in here. Before I do that though, right down here where you can change the timer, just leave this default. You could make the timer even longer than the default, or you can make it shorter. I recommend just leaving it default. If you make it longer, it would just take longer to verify all this, and if you make it too short, it won't be able to verify at all. So just leave it default. And now we'll just go ahead and grab my token and enter it in here, and I'll show you what's next. So once you put in your token and you click save, it should end up making a screen like this. Now, if it says it fails, that is perfectly okay. That just means the DNS is not set up correctly yet, or it hasn't refreshed yet with your IP address. That's perfectly fine. So once this gets done, I will show you what it looks like, and we continue. Okay, so assuming everything goes correctly, you should have been with a screen like this, where it has your two domains set up. And yeah. If you see this, then it did correctly. Like I said, if it fails, that is perfectly okay. It's just because the DNS either hasn't updated, or it just failed to analyze and set it up correctly. So what you're going to do in that case is just scrolling down and do start again. So just do it again, let it start again, and then just wait. Now, like I said, if it keeps failing, it's just because the DNS hasn't updated. So just give it around 20 minutes to an hour, and then come back and try this again. And assuming everything is set up correctly, you have the IP address correct, you have everything else set up correct, you have your token set up correct, and everything like that. Assuming all of that is correct, you should end up with a screen just like this. Now, once you get a screen like this, we're going to come over here to host and proxy host. We're going to leave this screen right here up, because we're going to need to come right back to this screen. Now, we're going to come back over to Casaos, just like so. And we're going to come over to VaultWarden, and we're going to open it inside of settings. So open settings. And now we can see that it's going to use this port right here. Now, we're going to copy that port. Okay, now spare your port, you copy the port. Now, you could change this port here. I would actually recommend you do change the port, so that way you won't have anyone be able to easily access your server. If they somehow log into your server, they won't be able to easily access your password manager. But in this scenario, we're just going to leave the default. You can do whatever you choose to do. So I'm going to go and close it. Now we're going to go back over to Proxy Manager. We're going to go add a new proxy host. And we're going to enter our domain. Now, the domain we want to set up is the domain we're going to type in every time we want to access our password manager. So I'm going to set up a very basic one. And I'm just going to set it up like this. And then we just simply do dot and our domain DNS.org. So remember how we entered the star earlier? That star means anything in front of that dot is a valid domain. So in this case, I set up the name psw dot the domain we set up dot duckdns.org. which means any time you go to this domain, it will lead you back to this website, which is the VaultWarden website. So we could even set up multiple. So say if we want to have every single scenario, we could set up one called password.ourdomain. We could set up one that is like whatever, right? So now we set this up, we're going to go ahead and come down here, and we're going to enter our port, just like so. And we're going to enter in our IP address. So the IP address of the server, which is this. We're going to do block common exploits, and we're just going to continue. So what we do next is we come up here to SSL, click this, come to certificate, and you're going to pick the certificate that we have created, which is this. We're going to do force SSL. I'm going to come here and do HTTPS version 2. We're going to select that, and we're going to come down here and click save. So, assuming we did all that correctly, okay, if we click this link right here, if we click it, it should take us to VaultWarden. It does. So now we're in VaultWarden, and we can actually set it up. Now, the reason you need to use a proxy manager in order to set up VaultWarden is because VaultWarden will not work unless the website link is HTTPS. Okay? If it does not have the S, it will not let you create the account. By default, it does not come with S. So you have to set up proxy manager in order to have it set up an SSL certificate in order to make sure you can set it up correctly. So that's all you do, and now every time you want to log into your password manager, you simply just type in that domain you set up. So that's how you do that. Now, once you're here, what do? Do you enter your email and password? No, you need to create an account. So let's create an account, and now we're going to set up whatever email we want. So in this case, we're just going to set up the same email. Once again, I recommend you set this up at your actual email. We're going to create a username, which will be snowmods. We're going to set up a password, which I recommend you set up a strong password. I'm just setting up a very basic one. And then we're going to do hint, and I'm just going to do YouTube, which, let me just spell this correctly. YouTube. You can do check for data breaches. I would recommend you leave this on, but you could uncheck this if you don't want to. I'm going to leave it on, and I'm going to create an account. Now, my password was weak, so it's letting me know that the password's weak. I would recommend you set up a very strong password, because if anyone ever gets access to your server or access to your machine, and they can figure out your weak password, then they have access to all your emails, passwords, and anything else you have set up. In my case, I don't care because I'm going to delete this, so I'm just going to say yep. And now you should see in the top right, it says email was created, and we're good to go. So now if we just simply log in with that, enter in our password that we set up, and now we're in. And it's that easy to set up VaultWarden. Now, we can come into settings. We can get our fingerprint. We can disable, enable. We can purge. We can go to security. We can set up our new password. We can change our data breach stuff. We can add an encryption. We can come down here and set up two-factor authentication. We can add a key. We can set up however we want, right? So for this tutorial, I'm going to set up this to be only time out the vault every 4 hours. I would recommend you set this up to 15 minutes or later, or even just when you refresh the browser or whatever. I'm just going to do that, and then I'm just going to leave it at lock. You can do log out instead, but I'm just going to leave it like this. And now I'm also going to come here and set up dark mode, because that's what I want, and I'm just going to leave all of this set up the way it is right now. You can change your language and all that, then click save. Now that this is all set up, you can come in here. This is the domain rules. We're not going to get into that in this video. And it's also this, which in case something happens to you, you can have a emergency access. I recommend setting this up if you have an emergency, set it up for like your family and stuff like that to be able to access your account, and all that. But yeah, that's how you set this up. Now, you could come in here and just create one right now, right? You could just come in here, create one, all that. We're not going to do that. You could come up here, and if you're using another password manager, you could import yours. So you could either import the data from your vault itself, just like so, and then simply come here and select the format to import. So let's say we use, let's go one of the more common ones, which is LastPass. So if we click LastPass, We just gotta copy it, throw the file right here that we got from LastPass from extracting, and it should just import the data. Click import data, and you're good to go. You could do that for pretty much any of these other options, and people do use a lot of different password managers, but yeah, just choose whichever one you have set up and get the data from it by extracting it on your password manager and then put it in here. Now, I'm not going to do that for obvious reasons because I'm making this video, but that's how you do that. And if you, for some reason, don't want to use this and you want to go back to the other password manager, you could just simply come here and extract it as one of these files and then import it onto your other password manager. So let's say if we want to do LastPass, we come in here, we can select this and just do export and then go ahead and throw that into LastPass, and it should let us create a it should create all the necessary files in LastPass in order to have all the data. Password manager, for password generation, we're just going to come here. We're going to add symbols and stuff. We can set up however long password we want. So if you want to set up like a 51, we can. I think the max limit's like 128, I think. 127, something like that. I think it's max. But yeah, so you can set up however long a password you really want. Just set one up. It's whatever. You can set up the random numbers, the minimal, the maximum, all that. Fully customize it. If you want to see a password you recently set up, you can come here. And it will show all the recently passwords that were created. So if you forgot what one was, you can come here and see it. You can just delete this so it doesn't show them. If you want to create a username for whatever scenario, whether it's email or whatever, you can come here, set this up. So this is an easy way to set up alternative emails and all that set up. So you come through here, set all this up. But yeah, that's as easy as you do. And if you want to set up a password phase, you can just set up one here. Generate. And so forth. And that's as easy as it is to set all this up. Now, most people are going to want to set this up using a web extension. So that way you could do this on Google or whatever application you use. So that way you don't have to constantly come in here and add one yourself. So instead of coming through here and having to fill all this information out, open this website every time you want to save a password, that would get annoying and you probably don't want to do that. So let's go add a file extension. So let's do a extension, which on the web browser, since I'm using Opera GX, I'm actually going to go to the Google one and download from Google. But whatever web browser you're using, it probably has support for it. So the way you figure out if it has it, just go to a web extension thing you use and just search for BitWarden. Okay, so now over here, and I got the extension downloaded. It should be called BitWarden. We're going to come here, and we're not going to log in using a BitWarden account. We're going to come in and do self-hosted. And we're going to enter in our domain that we set up, which in my case was this right here. So simply just type in this, just like so. And we're going to click save. Now, we're actually set up. So now all we got to do is just log into our account that we set up, which in this case was this. And we're going to go in and set up our password, which was this right here. Log in. And now we're in our password manager. And it's that easy. So I'm going to leave this open. And while we set up other applications, I'm going to actually save them and come back at the end and show you how this works. So yeah, that's how you set up VaultWarden. And that's also how you set up Proxy Manager in order to set up proxies for whatever you want. So instead of having to remember the IP address and then the domain, you can just set up a domain with whatever you set up, then docdns.org, which is a little bit easier to remember than just an IP address. So let's come back over here, and we're going to go into the next application. The next one we're going to use is Pi-hole. Now the password for the Pi-hole default is Casaos. So let's go ahead and set this up. I'll be right back with you when this gets done. Okay, so now that I've switched over here, we're going to go ahead and set up Pi-hole. Now, Pi-hole has a password set up already, which is Casaos. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And now we're going to go ahead and open a Pi-hole. It's going to take us to this website, and we're going to go ahead and just enter in that password. We're going to do login. Now up here on the top, you should see this message. I'm going to go ahead and just select to save this password through the thing. And yeah, now we should be set up. Password should be saved through Bitwarden. So our password manager is now set up. If we open it up, we should be able to go see it. So if I refresh the page and I log back in, like so, you can see that it now has the password set up. So to show you how that works, if I come here and I just open it, you can see the IP address, which is the name of it. You can change that to whatever. The actual IP, like the location, the URL that it actually is linked to, that, the username, and then the password set up for it, which in our case was Casaos, and as you can see, it's set up. Now, with Bitwarden, you can also set up two-factor authentication, and it's pretty easy to set that up, so you can set up whatever with that. But let's go back over here to Pi-hole, because that's what we're on. So with Pi-hole, we actually need to set it up. So, as you can see right now, the domains are going to be blocked, which is 147 domains going to be blocked. Now, we can add more. If we come down here to add list, we can add more. But before we do this, I'm going to come down here to settings, and we're going to go customize our settings. So, we're going to go to web interface, and I'm going to change the theme to this. You can change the temperature to whatever you want. You can set up if you want colorful, non-colorful. I'm going to click save. I'm going to come back over here and we're going to change the DNS we're going to use. We're going to change it from Google. And we're going to change it to Cloudflare and we're going to change it to that. Now, if you plan on making this server public and accessible through the internet, I recommend you set up Pi-hole to only use local stuff. But because the way we're setting ours up, we're not going to have it access to the internet, I'm going to go ahead and just set this up like that. And we can come in here and just do never if we're not going to set it to the public. Since we're never going to set it to public, we're just going to set this up. We're going to scroll down here. And now, depending on how powerful your machine is, you can set this up to where it can require more requests or less, depending on the time. I'm going to go ahead and just set it up 10,000 requests per minute, which is a lot. Depending on your machine, that may not be too much. I'm going to go ahead and set save. And yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and add ourselves a list. So on my GitHub page, I'm going to have a website that's going to take you to this website. So let me go ahead and open that website real quick. Okay, so once you go to the website, it should look something similar to this. This is a really nice website to get all your different lists from. Now, there's a bunch of different options when you scroll down here. You can do easy list, you could do all of these different options to get your list from. Now in our case, we're going to come up here and we're going to use this list right here. So I'm going to click visit. Now I like this one specifically because the way they have it set up. Green means they update these lists pretty regularly and they're the most up-to-date and most maintained. So if you want the most maintained list out there, click these green ones and just copy them and go ahead and paste it into Pi-hole. Now, if you want to see what it's actually doing, so here's actually easy list like we saw earlier. So if I click easy list, here's all the domains and stuff that are being blocked by this easy list. Now, the way we do it, we just come here, click copy, and go back to Pi-hole. So let me just go ahead and go back to Pi-hole. Now I'm going to go ahead and set a bunch of these domains up real quick, and I will be right back with you. The way you set them up is you just paste them right here, and then you click add. So let me do that, and I'll be right back with you. Also, I thought it might be helpful to actually show you, but you just simply paste the thing in right here, and click add. And assuming it says successful, then you're good to go. If it says error of some kind, you may have to figure out why it would be an error, but for me, I've never had an error with it, so just simply add your list and be good. Now let me go ahead and add all my lists, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I went ahead and added all the list here. So if I go ahead and expand it, you can see here's all of the list I added. Now, all of these lists actually need to be updated. So we can actually update them in just a moment, but this is all the list I added. This is going to set up a lot of blocks, so it's going to block a lot of different websites, but for my testing, it normally doesn't prevent you from going in any websites or anything like that. It just blocks a lot of things. So that's all you gotta do to set that up. Also, one more thing I want to mention is once you get this all set up how you like it, if you come to settings, come to teleport, you can actually make a backup and then put this on like a flash drive or store this somewhere else. And then if you ever have an issue where you need to take down the server or reboot it or reinstall Pi-hole, or you want to install Pi-hole on another server, you can of course just simply come here and restore it from the backup that you made, and you can enable or disable any of these options that you want here. So yeah, that's how you do that. But now we got all our ad stuff set up here, we need to actually update these and download all the files for this. So how do we do that? We come here to Tools, and we're going to go Update Gravity, and we're simply just going to click Update. Now this might take a few minutes, so I'll be back with you when it gets done updating all of the files. Okay, so now that it's actually done updating, you should see a screen like this where it says successful. That would mean that the whole list is done updating and installing. So now if we go back to our dashboard, we can see we're now blocking 884,000 different domains. So now all we do in order to set this up is simply figure out what our IP address is, which we already know because it's right up here. Simply type this IP address in and use it as your DNS. Now if you want to use this as a DNS for your router, you may need to do a little bit more configuring on certain things. But if you just want to use this per device, it's really simple. Just throw this into your DNS. But just know, if you set this up as your router DNS, you may need to do a few more configuring with it. But yeah, that's pretty much how you set up Pi-hole and get all this up and going. So yeah, that's Pi-hole, and yeah, that's all you gotta do. Let me go ahead and close Pi-hole. Okay. So the last website we're going to set up, or the last application, I should say, not website, is Up. So let's go ahead and do Uptime. Let's go ahead and just create ourselves the account. So, go ahead and set up our password. It'll simply just be this right here. I'm assuming I didn't type anything in wrong. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and just save this password. Okay, so we're going to come in here and we're going to add some stuff. So I'm going to actually switch screens real quick to make it a little bit easier to show you how this works. So now that I set it up and I switch screens, all you do is come here, and now you're going to click this. It's going to bring a drop down menu, and now depending on how you want to ping your servers, you can ping it however you want with using this. Now in our case, we set up a domain using DuckDNS, and if we type in that domain, it will ping it. But every once in a while, it will say the server went down, even though it actually didn't go down, just by the way that the DNS is being handled by DuckDNS and all that. So let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So if I go ahead and just type this right here in, and then do duckdns.org, and I'm just going to go ahead and set up a friendly name. I'm just going to do duckdns.org. Now, I almost forgot to set up the thing like that. So yeah, once you get it all configured however you want, you can set how long it will check each time. So this would check every 60 seconds. It would check it. You could do every hour or whatever. So just set it up however you want. Do any of the configuring you want here. In this case, I'm actually going to set up a tag, and the tag will just simply be duckdns. I'm going to set the color to this to be orange, and I'm going to click add. And now we can set up our notifications and stuff right here. So if we want to set up notifications, we can come here and set up notifications using any of these tools that you would like. I'm just going to not do it for this tutorial, but you can set it up this however you want. If you want to set it through Discord or through Messenger or however, you can set it up through here. Now I'm going to go ahead and close that, and we're just simply going to do save. Now assuming we configured everything correctly, it should ping it in just a few seconds. It might take a little bit longer than what it just did for me, but it should ping it. Now, let's say if we want to ping only an IP address. So we're going to go ahead and select this, and we're going to ping an IP. So in our case, let's just do, let's say we're going to ping Casaos, right? So we need to enter in the IP address, which was this right here, for other thing. And now we know the port is set up to that for the port. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to add another tag. I'm just going to call this tag IP, set to gray. And yeah, Now we can set up notifications for all of this. I'm not going to do that for this, but you can set one up. Click save, and now the IP address is being pinged. So the reason you would set this up is in case a server goes down or a service that you have up and going goes down, you won't be like, okay, why did it go down or when did it go down? You can come here and just open this up and check to see when it went down and why it went down. Because normally down here in the messages, it would tell you the reason it went down or the reason it checked and it went down. So if a service that you have up and going constantly keeps going down, you may want to check to see why it keeps going down nonstop. Now, like I said, if you use DuckDNS, it will ping every once in a while saying the service is down. Don't worry about that, it's fine. That's just because the way DuckDNS handles it. So, yeah. I don't recommend you set up notifications for a DuckDNS website, but you could set up the IP address, which will just be the same thing, pretty much. So, yeah. That's all you gotta do to set this up, and yeah, now we're actually pretty much fully set up. So that's how you set all this up, and now I'm gonna come up here and open this up, and you can actually see here's our 2 passwords that we have saved. We can now check the usernames and passwords by clicking this. We can copy them easily. If we have a 2-factor authentication set up, we can click this to do the 2-factor, and we can come here and edit all this. So I'm gonna come here and actually open this right here. And now when I click this, you can come here and click fail and save, clone, move, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to click edit. Now let's say if we had a 2-factor authentication and we want to save that. We simply open up the 2-factor authentication. It should bring up like a QR code. Most of them have a QR code option. Simply just click this and it would take a picture of the web page. And it should immediately enter the 2-factor authentication. Click save, and yeah, that's all you gotta do. You can add folders or whatever in here, however you want to do it. So just set all that up, get how you like it. You should be good to go. And that's how you set up your entire VaultWarden. That's how you set up your Casaos, and that's how you set up all this stuff very user friendly. So yeah. That's pretty much the end of the video. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Hopefully this helped someone out there. Like I said, if you have any issues, I get confused about my talking, maybe I'm going too fast, or maybe I confuse you like that, I do have my GitHub page right over here. It will be linked in the description. Just go ahead and follow it, and it should take you through everything you need to install. So it tells you everything you need. It tells you how to all the commands. You can just click this and copy it. As easy as that. It tells you all the shortcuts in case you forget. It tells you all the commands. It has the script to open port 50, and it's got the script to fix the port in case you set up a wrong port. All that. And it tells you DuckDNS, how to set that all up. It tells you all this stuff. So yeah, hopefully this will help you out. Now, there's one more thing I want to show, which is how to set up a dashboard. So let's do that real quick. So if I click this, I can come here, I'm going to copy this, and we're just going to go create a dashboard really quick. Let's go ahead and create a dashboard just by doing this. That in here, I'm going to just copy that name, paste it up here, click deploy. This might take a few seconds, so I'll be right back with you when it gets done. Okay, so now that it's done doing it, it should say successfully deployed, and now it's successfully deployed up here. If we click into this, we can actually see it set up right here. So all we gotta do is go to the IP address, which, as we know, the IP address is this right here. .40. We're gonna enter in the port which it's created, which is that. Come through here. We're simply gonna enter in our username and stuff. So in our case, we're actually just gonna go ahead. You know what? I'm just gonna use this just to do it really quick because we don't care. So now that we're in here, I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything in here. If you need any help for anything, I would leave this documentation in this welcome menu here, just so you can get any of the information you might need. So if you keep these two, this will actually be helpful, just so that way you make sure you can get any documentation you need from this. I already know how to set all this up, so I'm going to remove it. Up here, click exit and save. And now we got a fresh new screen. Now, what are we doing here? Let's go into settings. So if we come up here, we can go into profile. I'm gonna switch the theme to dark. And now I'm gonna come up here to options, which is to customize. I'm gonna click enable ping, because I like being able to see if my server's up or down. I'm gonna scroll down here. I'm gonna leave all this the same. I'm gonna go ahead and add blue, green. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit, just like so. I'm gonna leave the shade just like that. And now for background, we can add our own backgrounds here. So let me actually grab one of my backgrounds I like. So if you go to like a website like Unsplash, you can copy a domain just like this. And as you can see up here, it's Unsplash. And this is actually going to use the image from Unsplash. So that's how you do that. I'm not going to change the title. I'm just going to leave that the same. I would recommend you change this though, but you can leave it whatever you want. So I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm going to go ahead and click save. Now if we go back, we can actually see the image is set up, and we also have the bluish green background, like with the colors and stuff. So let's go ahead and add our Docker containers, or our apps, or our websites. So you can come here and click add app. You can come here and add your widgets if you want. And you can set up all that stuff. You can even set up different categories. I'm not. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to set up Docker. Since we already have Docker set up, this is just an easier way to set this all up. So if you click refresh, it should bring up all your stuff. I'm going to go ahead and just add these, just like so. So I'm going to add it right here. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to add VaultWarden. I'm going to set those up. So I'm just using these two as an example. You can set up however you want. So you're going to come up here, click edit. You're going to come here and edit it. So with the name, you can set up the name however you want. I'm just going to go ahead and capitalize it because I think it looks a little bit better. I'm going to come down here to make it look better, and I'm just going to simply go and type in the application, which is this right here. Grab its icon. I'm going to come here and enter an IP address, which was this right here. So just so you can see, it is 192.168.1.40, and then it is the port 81 for the interface. And now I'm going to go ahead and just set up http / like so, and I'm just going to copy this and paste it right here. Now, assuming you set this all up the way it's supposed to be, here's behaviors if you need to set anything like that up, network, all that, you can set up however you want. Once you get it all set up, you can just click save. If you come up here and click save and exit, it should ping it. So if we click it, it should take us right over here. That means we know it's set up. In just a little bit, that ping should ping it. So while that is trying to set that up, we're going to go ahead and set up VaultWarden. So let's go ahead and set this up. So simply just type in VaultWarden. I'm going to go ahead and grab the image, which, as we know, is also called VaultWarden. Now, you can add your own custom images if there's not an option for yours that you have set up. And you can even go download some that people have on like the GitHub page or whatever. So go ahead and do that. Now, for VaultWarden, we actually cannot use the IP address because it has to be HTTPS. So how do we set this up? We simply want to set up that thing we set up earlier, which is the domain. So let me just simply type that in. Just like so. And now, I actually didn't click enter because, yeah, but that's how you set it up. Now, if you perhaps want to set one up, like, let's go back over here. Let's say if we want our internal link to be the IP address, but then we want the external link to be like another website or whatever. What you can do is set the internal link to the IP address and the port, and then set this up to, let's say, duckDNS. So let's say if we had a duckDNS, we can do, duck, duckDNS and .org, whatever. You can set it all up and then just put it in here, right? Now, for this scenario, I'm just going to leave it as the IP address and port, but you can set this up however you want. So if I click save and exit, you can see both of these are actually saying they're both online. They both are pinged and all that, which means they're both up and going. If I click it, it should take us right here. And now we know it's actually fully set up. So yeah, Now you have your dashboard set up. You can add your own IP addresses, your own icons. You can move them however you want. If you don't like them being next to each other, you can do this. If you come back over here, you can even add a side thing. So if you want to add 2 sidebars, actually you need to save that. But you can add 2 different sidebars, click save. Now you can see there's 2 sidebars set up. So if you want to toss one of these over here on the sidebar, one over here on this sidebar, or however, you can go ahead and just move these around however you like. But yeah, that's how you add your own dashboard, and yeah, that's actually all I'm going to show for now. So hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully this helps someone out there, and yeah, peace out.